What common sense is actually wrong. If you're passionate about what you do, you won't work a day in your life. Wrong. It's still really hard work even though you enjoy it. And to make matters worse, you might work so hard to the point where you end up hating the thing you love. Edit. Gold. So flattered. Thanks, stranger. I do also want to point out that I don't ever want to discourage someone from pursuing their passions. I just make sure they're aware of the risks so they have a better grasp of these issues that may come along and they can better deal with it. Edit 2. Platinum. I feel like I need to say something additionally just for this. Monsieur. Here's my favorite quote. Motivation gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. It's pretty easy to start something because you're excited about, but the only way you're going to see it to fruition is if you have the discipline to keep working. Even when your motivation runs out, tilt your head back during a bloody nose. I get bloody noses all the time. Always have. And the amount of times I'm just sitting there minding my own business with a tissue to my nose in. Somebody, usually older adults, walks by and tells me I should tilt my head back. No thank you, I don't want to flood my throat with noseblood, ma'am. Just ask them why and see if they can explain. I always thought that tilt your head back was just so you don't drip on things. Oh my goodness. This. I had it at the dentist once while getting an impression done, and they laid me back in the chair. Before I could realize what was happening, I was like, what? No, you should know better. I'm unaware of the reason why you shouldn't. Holding the head back just causes you to bleed into your digestive tract rather than getting the blood out of the way. Knowing how much you have bled is actually a good thing, so you can tell if it's an oops situation or a see medical help situation. Also, I have heard that your body doesn't handle digesting your own blood too well. But I am not sure if that is a fact or more common sense. Don't trust someone who won't look you in the eyes. Having social anxiety doesn't make you a bad person, and sociopaths have no problem staring you down. This can be cultural too. Many people consider sustained eye contact, especially between intimates, a sign of hostility, lying, or just generally creepy as a sock full of cockroaches. Edit. I won't edit in intimates because it had brought some joy, however fleeting, to the world. It may be a Freudian thing, where I meant to say one thing but got it on with a dumpster diving comrade. That is all. Go about your usual duties. That people are good eyewitnesses. We aren't. Our perception of things sucks. We are prone to so many biases that we aren't even aware of. If I grade papers on an empty stomach, I will grade them lower than if I am not hungry. And I will never admit that to be true, even though it is. I was told a story by my forensics teacher a few years ago. It's been some time since I've heard it, so some details are fuzzy. My forensics teacher was going out with friends one day. After a day at the mall, their car was only one of a few in the parking lot. It was late-ish at night, so they all hurried to the car. As they were about to drive away, a drunk guy came up to the car and pulled a gun on the monsieur. Keep in mind that they all saw the dude's face. They got away fine, and reported the incident to the police. When asked to describe the perpetrator, all three of them gave a different description, despite the fact that they all saw the same guy, at the same time, from relatively the same angle. Human brains are weird. Now think about how many people are behind bars only based on eyewitness testimony. Do not, ever, wait 24 hours before filing a missing persons report. If you have a reasonable suspicion that something happened to someone, call immediately. I have to say that this was eye-opening for me too. When my elderly dad didn't return for hours from what was supposed to be a routine jogging exercise on a very hot day, I called the police. They immediately filed a missing persons report so that a patrol car could start looking for Hi monsieur. He was okay. He'd just gotten lost. Despite all the bad press coverage these days about misbehaving police, I love our local police force. They do it how everyone should do it. someone who you can rely on in times of need, rather than an enemy to be feared. In medical school we're taught that common things are common, and that, when you hear hoofs, think horses not zebras, meaning that we should always assume the most obvious diagnosis. Medical students almost always jump to the rarest disease when taking multiple choice tests or when they first go out into clinical rotations and see real patients. And the most important lesson, it's never lupus until it is. Yep, and it's not just medicine. How much of IT is eliminated with, have you tried turning it off and on again? Is everything plugged in? Quote. But sadly this does mean that when you've got a truly complicated problem you have to slog through the simple solution talk. I'm in IT. Do some support. You want to infuriate me to the point that I seriously consider just bricking your device. Tell me you did something that I can prove you did not do. You need to reload the OS and application on that. Scratch it and start over. We did. It's still broken. Liar. The install logs are from August 2017. I just restarted it, and it's still not working. Checks Task Manager window. You mean you just restarted the machine 27 days ago? Quote. I honestly kind of loved when this happened when I was doing desktop support. Please reboot and let me know if you still have issues. User waits a few minutes and then says, I've rebooted and it still doesn't work. Checks uptime. Really? Why does it say X hours? Quote. Incoherent stammering. I reboot the PC and the issue is resolved. Honestly, I don't get the thinking behind that. Do they think it must be something complicated? Not IT, but someone who made the mistake of fixing a minor computer issue at a family gathering. Greater than do they think it must be something complicated? For people like my aunt. Yes, that is exactly the case. She's computer illiterate and stubborn AF. Which I'm sure you've met these types before and know they're a fun combo. Also, the type that thinks hacking is exactly like it is in the Hackers or Swordfish movies. Anyway, whenever I have to fix her laptop, I just do a bunch of random shit that looks like I'm doing something. Log into router and randomly browse. Type IP config and look at it, etc. Then reboot. Just skipping to the last step will literally make her create a problem out of nowhere or think the problem is still there despite it not existing. The harder you brush, the cleaner your teeth get. All you're gonna do is cause gum recession. Edit. I guess this is a good platform to share dental hygiene tips. Brush with a soft bristle brush for 2 to 3 minutes. Don't do side-to-side motion. Make small circles on the surfaces of the teeth. Flick away from the gum line with short strokes. And vibrate the toothbrush near the gum line at a 45-degree angle from the tooth. Electric toothbrushes are great, they're less technique sensitive and you just hold it over tooth for 5 to 10 seconds without back and forth motion. Don't stick your toothbrush near your toilet for obvious, yet never thought about, reasons. Less than, to minimize poop ingestion. Stick it in a drawer or get a cover for your brush. You'll scrub away your tooth enamel as well. Once that's gone, you're screwed. Opposites attract in regards to relationships. Most of the time, they do not. Pretty sure that's misinterpreted. Opposite personalities attract. Opposite values and interests do not. Look at a couple that has made it a long time. Normally one of them is much more outgoing than the other. People who have nothing in common tend to break up. **K thanks for the silver. This is correct. You should find someone that shares common values, goals, and beliefs, but who can complement you by filling in the gaps where you are weak or help balance you out. Edit. Compliment, not compliment. Although it's probably important that you get the occasional compliment from your so as well. Thanks for the silver, whoever you are. No, I will only settle for an exact copy of myself. No one else knows how I like my head pats. Just because you're not fat doesn't mean you're in good shape. I've been vegetarian for 15 years. Everyone thinks this means I eat healthy. I don't. My diet is mostly pizza and pasta and whatever microwaves faster than it takes me to eat it afterwards. Probably not the answer you're looking for, but the notion that darker roasts of coffee are higher in caffeine content. They're not. The caffeine gets cooked out the longer you roast the coffee bean. The lighter the roast, the higher the caffeine content. Edit. Lots of folks replied about the difference in caffeine content between roasts being negligible and discrepancies between the density, weight of the coffee bean when roasted. Read some of those replies for clarification. My point is dark roast equals more caffeine. Ugh, when I worked at the gas station this guy is like, which coffee is the strongest? And I said, in flavor or caffeine content? And he said, both, and I told him to do our medium roast and he said, no, I want the dark roast. And years later I am still bothered because he thinks he's right. He's off somewhere in rural Minnesota thinking he's hyped the fuck up on his sludge coffee. And I hate it. Why would he ask though if you're just gonna ignore the advice anyway? I assume he meant, give me your strongest coffee, as in, which of these coffees is the darkest roast. Quote, a coffee guy literally asked the dude if he meant roast or caffeine content. You don't need to wait 30 minutes before going swimming after eating. This was just invented by public pools to stop people bringing food into the water. I like to wait anyway. Getting acid reflux while swimming sucks. Put ice on a burn. Do not do this, it can rip the skin. Do put the burn under cool water immediately. Edit. Lots of people are giving advice in the comments, but cool water is listed on all of the medical websites including Mayo Clinic and WebMD. They now recommend lukewarm water, as cold water can irritate the burn. It's not irritation. Hot skin is still elastic, and shocking it with cold makes it contract and take on a deformed and more painful shape. Common sense says sun isn't out and it is cool outside. You don't have to worry about sunburns. Worst sunburn I ever got. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Psychologists actually showed that it's the reverse, which is why LDR are very hard. Out of sight, out of mind is more accurate. I think this is an accurate observation in short term for someone that you see so often that if you are apart for a few days then you actually miss them because they're part of your routine. Think parents who read you a story every night but have to travel for a day or two for work or a family emergency, or friends at school you talk to on the daily about everything and then fall in sick, or so you have dinner with every night who goes on a business trip for a week. Technically, you miss the interaction until a new routine settles in. When I worked in spectator event safety, we learned, sports stadia, that when an evacuation is happening, the safest place to go to is the playing field, as it is usually open air and therefore low risk if it is a fire evacuation. However, common sense takes over crowd dynamics and people try leaving the way they came in, from the other side of the building. So this common sense trait results in thousands of people flocking into burning buildings. An example of this was the Bradford City Stadium fire. A huge chunk of the crowd headed back into the burning stadium looking for exits despite open air. The pitch being meters in front of the monsieur. If you're in a relationship but develop feelings for someone else, break up with them, because if you truly love them, you wouldn't love the second person. Bullshit. Don't cheat. Don't have an emotional affair. But figure out what's going on in your heart and your head before throwing away a loving relationship over a crush. One size does not fit all. Editing to include some good points of clarification made by other peeps. The point of this post is to say that before you started dating yourself, you had a crush on the monsieur. You didn't know where it was going, but you started dating to find out, and it turned into a relationship. Interest is not the same as a relationship, but it's totally possible to have interest in people even when you're in a relationship. And it doesn't mean you should 100% end the relationship when this happens, because it could mean literally nothing. That's for you to decide. Also, talking to your partner is important. That's what I did when it became too confusing. And I wish I'd talked to them sooner. They're human too, right? Or aliens. I don't know you. And even if they haven't experienced it, they should understand it. Yes, it sucks to be the so in this situation. But it would suck more if you insisted your girlfriend of 2 years leave you because she thinks the new guy at work is cute. What you do about your feelings is vastly more important than your feelings themselves. Also, just so I stop getting this comment, polyamorous relationships are a thing. This is often said by people obsessed with the idea that everyone has the one. No one has just one person just made for them. Monsieur, you can love lots of people. You can get along with lots of people. You might love multiple people at once. Or no one at all. All these are perfectly acceptable and normal. The only thing not normal and acceptable is hurting people you love because you can't keep it in your pants if you and your partner want that. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.